You could be the most qualified person in that interview room and still lose the job because of the way you said 3 sentences. Today, we are going to show you exactly which sentences those are and how to fix them. Okay, Alex, I have to ask you something before we get into today's topic.
Sure, go ahead.
Have you ever walked out of a job interview and thought, I had all the right answers, but something just felt off?
Oh, absolutely. I remember one interview years ago. I knew the subject perfectly. I had the experience, I had the examples ready, but when I sat down and they asked me the first question, I froze, and what came out of my mouth was honestly a mess.
That is such a common experience. And here is the thing, for English learners, that feeling is 10 times stronger because you are not just thinking about what to say, you're thinking about grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, all at the same time.
Right, and the pressure of a job interview makes everything harder. Your brain is working overtime.
So today, we are going to break that down completely. We're going to do a real mock interview right here on the podcast. Alex is going to be the interviewer, and I will be the candidate.
And after each part, we'll step out of the role play and talk about what just happened, what phrases worked, what you can steal for your own interviews, and what mistakes to avoid.
And at the end, we'll give you a list of key phrases to practice. So if you're listening while commuting, cooking, or exercising, grab a pen at some point because you'll want to write these down.
All right, let us get into it.
Okay, so I will quickly set the scene. Imagine I am a candidate interviewing for a marketing coordinator position at a mid-sized company. Alex is the hiring manager. This is a first-round interview.
Great, so thank you for coming in today. Let us start with a classic. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Of course. I graduated with a degree in communications 3 years ago, and since then, I have been working at a small digital agency where I manage social media content for about 12 different clients. I really enjoy the creative side of marketing, but I also like working with data to see what is actually performing well. I'm looking for a role where I can do more of both.
Okay, pause. Let us talk about what Emma just did there, because she did several things really well.
So the tell me about yourself question is probably the most common interview question in the English-speaking world, and it is also the one people mess up the most.
Right. A lot of candidates either go way too far back, well, I was born in 1995 and I always loved drawing, or they go too short. I'm a hard worker and I like marketing.
Neither of those is helpful to the interviewer. What you want to do is give a short, structured answer that covers 3 things: your background, your current experience, and where you're going.
Think of it like a story with a beginning, a middle, and a direction. Not an ending, a direction, because you're not finished yet.
And notice the phrase I used. I'm looking for a role where I can. That's a really useful phrase. It connects your past to why you want this specific job. Write that one down.
All right, back into it. Great background. So why do you want to work here specifically? Why this company?
Honestly, I have followed this company for a while. I really admire the way you approach brand storytelling, especially the campaign you ran last spring. It felt authentic, and that is something I want to be part of. I also think the size of the team here would give me the chance to contribute meaningfully, rather than just being one small piece of a very large machine.
Good. Now, I want to highlight 2 phrases there. I have followed this company for a while. That shows genuine interest. Interviewers can always tell when someone has done their research versus when someone is just saying what they think sounds good.
And the second phrase, contribute meaningfully. That is a great professional expression. It means you want to make a real difference, not just do small tasks. It sounds confident without being over the top.
Also, notice that Emma mentioned a specific campaign. That is important. Specificity shows preparation. If you say, I love your company's work, that sounds vague. But if you say, I loved that campaign you ran last spring, that tells the interviewer you actually looked them up.
So, before any English language interview, research the company. Look at their website, their social media, recent news about them. Then use one specific detail in your answer.
Let us do one more common question before we move on. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I would love to be leading a small team, probably in a creative or content-focused direction. I'm not fixated on a specific title, but I want to have grown into someone who can mentor others and drive strategy, not just execute it.
Okay, I'm not fixated on a specific title. That is a really smart phrase. It tells the interviewer you're ambitious but flexible. You're not going to leave in 6 months just because your job title isn't exactly what you imagined.
And the phrase drive strategy, not just execute it, that shows you are thinking like a leader. You are not just thinking about doing tasks, you're thinking about owning ideas.
These little phrases make a huge difference. They show sophistication in the language. And the good news is you can learn them and practice them before the interview. You do not have to make them up on the spot.
Okay, this is the part that makes almost everyone nervous, even native speakers.
Oh, 100%. The strengths and weaknesses question feels like a trap, right? If you talk about your strengths too much, you sound arrogant. If you talk about your weaknesses, you think, am I basically telling them not to hire me?
So let us show you how to handle both. Alex, ask me about my strengths.
What would you say is your greatest strength?
I would say my greatest strength is my ability to stay organized under pressure. When I'm managing multiple campaigns at once, I tend to create clear systems for myself and my team so that deadlines do not get missed. I think that consistency has been something my colleagues have really relied on.
Perfect. Let's break that down. She started with I would say, not I am. I would say my greatest strength is sounds more thoughtful and a little more humble. I'm organized is fine, but I would say my greatest strength is sounds more considered.
Then I gave a specific example, not just I'm organized, but when I'm managing multiple campaigns, I create systems. Give the interviewer a picture, help them see the strength in action.
And the ending, something my colleagues have really relied on. That's great because it shows your strength is not just something you think about yourself, it's something other people have actually noticed and benefited from.
Okay, now the hard one.
What about a weakness? Is there any area you feel you need to improve?
Yes, actually. I have noticed that I can sometimes spend too much time perfecting a piece of work before sharing it with the team. I tend to want everything to be just right before I present it. I have been working on that by setting internal deadlines for myself, a sort of good enough to share checkpoint, so I share earlier and get feedback sooner, rather than waiting until something feels perfect.
Excellent. So that answer followed a very specific structure, and I want you to remember this structure. It has 3 parts. State the weakness, show self-awareness, describe what you are doing about it.
Say the weakness honestly. Do not be vague. I sometimes struggle with public speaking is better than, I guess sometimes I could maybe communicate better. Vague answers make you sound like you are hiding something.
Then show that you understand why it is a weakness. Emma said, I want everything to be just right. That explains the behavior. The interviewer understands where it comes from.
And then, this is the most important part. Explain what you are doing to improve. I have been working on that by setting internal deadlines. That tells the interviewer you are proactive. You don't just have weaknesses and shrug. You are actively working on them.
Key phrases from this section. I would say my greatest strength is something my colleagues have relied on. I have been working on that by, and I tend to. That phrase, I tend to, is incredibly useful. It's softer than I always or I never. It makes you sound self-aware and honest.
Okay, this is one of my favorite parts to talk about because it is such a fine line in English.
It really is, and I think for people who are learning English, especially if your first language is one where directness is very normal, this can feel confusing. Like, am I being rude? Am I being too modest? Where is the line?
So let us look at some real examples. Alex, give me an arrogant version of a sentence, and then I will give the confident version.
Sure. Arrogant. I am the best person for this job. I have more experience than most candidates you will see.
Confident. I believe my background in digital marketing and my experience managing cross-functional projects make me a strong fit for this role.
See the difference? The first one puts down other candidates. The second one just focuses on what you bring.
The word believe is doing a lot of work there. I believe sounds grounded and confident. It is not uncertain, but it is not also aggressive. Compare I am the best versus I believe I am a strong fit. One sounds like a boast, the other sounds like a thoughtful professional.
Another tip, pause before you answer. This is huge. When someone asks you a tough question and you immediately fire back an answer, it can actually sound rehearsed or defensive. But if you take a short pause and say, "That is a great question, let me think about that for a second," you come across as calm, collected, and thoughtful.
And calm and collected is exactly what interviewers are looking for. They aren't just hiring for skills, they're hiring for someone who will be steady in difficult moments.
Another phrase that walks the confidence line perfectly, in my experience. For example, in my experience, the best results come from clear communication between teams. That sounds knowledgeable without sounding like you're showing off.
Compare that to, obviously, everyone knows that communication is important. The word obviously in English can come across as condescending, as if you were saying the interviewer should already know this. Avoid obviously, avoid clearly in the sense of implying the other person is slow. Use in my experience, I have found that, or from what I have seen.
One more. Instead of, I know I can do this job, try, I am confident that I have the skills to grow into this role and contribute quickly. That version sounds just as certain, but it also shows humility and eagerness. That combination, confidence plus humility, is the sweet spot.
So, to summarize this section, use I believe, use I have found that, use in my experience, pause before answering, and focus on what you bring instead of putting others down.
All right. We are coming up on the end of today's episode, and I want to make sure you leave with something concrete.
So here are the key phrases from today. These are the ones we want you to practice. Say them out loud. Say them in the mirror. Say them to a friend, or just say them to yourself on the way to work.
Number 1. I am looking for a role where I can. Use this when answering, why do you want this job?
Number 2. I would say my greatest strength is... Use this to talk about strengths in a way that sounds thoughtful, not boastful.
Number 3. I have been working on that by... Use this to turn your weakness answer into something proactive and positive.
Number 4. In my experience, use this to share knowledge confidently without sounding like you are lecturing.
Number 5. I believe I am a strong fit for this role because... Use this to close the interview or answer a direct question about why they should hire you.
And the structural tip for your weakness answer, always follow this pattern. State it honestly, explain the self-awareness behind it, then describe what you are actively doing to improve. That 3-part structure works every time.
Honestly, Emma, I think if someone just practiced those 5 phrases and that one structure before their next interview, they would feel so much more prepared.
100%. And remember, the goal is not to sound perfect. The goal is to sound genuine and prepared. Interviewers are not looking for robots with flawless grammar. They are looking for real people who communicate clearly and carry themselves with some confidence.
And you have got this. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already doing the work. You're already putting in the effort to improve your English, and that effort will show.
We would love to hear how your next interview goes. If you're practicing with a friend, try running through the mock interview structure we used today. Play both roles, take turns, and pay attention to the phrases.
And if you found today's episode helpful, share it with someone who has a job interview coming up. It might be exactly what they need.
We will be back next episode with another real conversation on a topic that matters to your everyday English.
Before we go, if today's episode got you thinking about your English journey, you're going to want to hear our episode called The Truth About Learning English, where we get into why so many learners feel stuck even after years of studying and what actually works.
It's honestly one of our favorites because Alex and I talk about our own struggles learning French and Spanish, so it feels very real. This video is on the left side.
Bye, everyone.
Bye!